sit here and hang out for a little bit. Sergio is on his way over. I don't know if we will continue the live stream on his way over here. We're going to swap a couple of boost pedals. And he's been wanting to check out a couple of my amps, so that's what's going to happen on my Friday evening. But I have a live mic hooked up to any amp. I had been playing the Grandifier, but I've got them all hooked up. And I've got my SM57. And I even have a do do do. I've even got I've even got my iPad hooked up. I got my fucking microphone robot ready to go. So if you don't like your tone, I can move the mic around. Yada yada yada. So that's what we're here doing. Oh, no sound from my mic. Son of a bitch. We're opening up loopback. How about now? Do we have sound from my microphone now? Because if not, I'm an absolute moron. That would be... Yep, it looks like we have sound from my mic now. So, I appreciate you giving me the heads up on that. Because we are now 2 minutes into my stream, or at least a minute and 40 seconds before we figure that out. And I've got 4 people sitting here going, hey, I got no sound. So in theory, we should have sound, so which is cool. Long story short of everything that I just said, it's Friday night. I'm a bachelor. I've got all the amps hooked up. I have a SM57 currently on the Omega 412 cabinet, but it's I can move that mic around. The wife is hanging out with some of her friends tonight, so I have the house to myself, so I can have an amp up past 1 or whatnot. So that's what I'm doing. Is I've got amps hooked up. I got a 0-calorie A&W Rupee here. Modern Vintage is saying yesterday's stream was great. I meant to ask you about the Karstens more. Was going to buy one, but I'm a little concerned about being fuzzy, grainy versus the Omega, which are clear. That is so. The Karsten is pretty fuzzy at the higher end of the distortion game. That's kind of like its sound. I mean, it's not quite a big muff, but it is definitely... and the headroom knob on the back of the amp really changes the characteristics of it. But it's a totally... So you take the Obsidian... Sorry. Take the Grandifier, which is super clear, super tight, super precise. And then the Karsten is kind of... It's just a fuzzier sound. I'll kind of give you... I can actually A-B those for you here. And he's saying he's really bummed about what you and a buddy said, more fuzzy, fizzy, and how does it compare to the Omegas and the different channels. It's a totally different vibe. I mean, again, it's one of those things of like, this is the Billy Corgan Smashing Pumpkins signature amp, and the Omegas are like modern metal amps. Very, very different vibes. So again, let's just jump right into it. So I've got right now... In my, what I've got hooked up is my telly, and I can obviously pull up plenty of different guitars, and I've got this is in drop D at the moment, and I believe that the Obsidian is hooked up, and we'll just get some levels right, and you can kind of hear the differences between the Omega Grandifier and the Karsten, which are, again, both single channel, high gain amps, and they're just very different vibes. Does the fuzzy nature go away with the headroom? So, kind of. So I run the Karsten with the headroom all the way open. So I'm not trying, like, so you run the headroom down, and it's basically you're getting that power amp breakup a lot faster, but with it at, at fully open whatnot, we definitely get it's tighter. It's not tight, and I would not say it is modern, but I do enjoy it. So let's just check out some tones and make sure I've got some things that are going on here. So swap over this to the dirties, and I've got to turn off the load box. And I've got to take these amps off standby. So this is the Karsten. Again, it doesn't have a loop, so it is got the noise gates. What's up, Gary? How are you? How is Colorado treating you? We miss you around here. I'm understanding. I have both the Omegas. Regarding the dynamics, feel is there anything with the dynamics that feel the grace that the Omegas? Abso-freaking-lutely. So there is a lot of dynamics here. That's kind of what I'll walk you through as I play through the Karsten. That's really tough to put your fingers on. So again, right now you can hear that there's noise because there is no effects loop. I could run a noise gate up front, but I don't have the rig wired that way. So I'm going to kill the room mic. And Phil's weighing in on the Karsten thing, so with a boost in front. But yeah, it's just a very different feel. But the Grano, so we've got the Grano and the Karsten kind of side by side, and they're just a lot of different feels. And again, who knows how the tones are going to translate through an SM57 through a compressed audio thing. So, Monitor says, so it doesn't feel as immediate fast. Yeah, there's not many amps out there that are as fast as the Granifier. That amp is super quick. They're both very pick sensitive, but they're just different in my opinion. And again, Phil is your, this guy is super sharp when it comes to this stuff. I like to play these things, but he's a professional, so definitely take his word for it for sure. Thanks for the feedback. What's making me consider selling the Grace? One, it is ridiculously loud. And two, I just don't know if this is a sound that I quote unquote need, but it is very different. So it's just one of those things of like, it's a $3,000, $3,600 amp, whatever you want to call it. And is it a sound that I need? So, Modern saying, thanks for the heads up, Phil. But kind of where I'm at with it is like, I don't know if this is a tone that I need or a sound that I couldn't get through a different thing. And would I be better suited for the things that I do with things like an Uberschall, or on the complete opposite end of that spectrum, would I be better versed having like a Dumble style head like a 2-Rock or something that's in that same vein? So it's just kind of thought processes that are running through my mind, but cool. Let me get back to the tones. I got all the things rolled off. Kill the room mic, so that way you're only getting the 57. And just to reiterate, this is the Karsten, and then I will switch over to the Granifier, which again will be quieter because it has a gate in its loop. My man Gary suggested I get an Archon. I'm gonna go ahead and say no to that. I had one of the new Archons. I did not like it. It was $1,000, and it wasn't bad for $1,000, but it did not have a place here. Now the older Archons, little different story, but the loops in those are super spotty with the problem. But like I'm holding out for an MT100, and I'm really hoping they deliver on everything that they say they're going to with an MT100, because also the MT15 was hot trash. So, okay, I had the did I have the 100 or did I have the 50? I forget which one I had of the old one. I bought the new one, and the new one was not very, like, it was totally worth $1,000, but I'm not going to play it. Like, I'm not going to play that amp when I have any of the other ones sitting behind me. It was about to get no play. Dallas is saying I should get a Mezabara, which Kyle Bull is all about right now. I have never played one. It is on my list of things to try, but I haven't. It hasn't showed up. Modern Rich is saying for the sale price plus a few $100. I'm in 2 Rock and next level amp category. Would be where how Billy wanted to replace the Herbert. Yeah, like it's just a unique amp, and again they made 50 of these, and I had a chance to grab one, and I just had to take a shot to get it, and it's super super cool. But like it's one of these things of like, it's cool, but do I need it? I mean, that's how like it's like I have good gear, and it's one of those things of like, hey, I've got the gear. Is this something that's gonna fit? So Dallas, let me know which one you have. And Phil saying, honestly, if you offload the grass, just get an Ecstasy. It's more versatile than the Uberschall. Yeah, I've heard that as well. The thing I like about the Uberschall is that, and again, I've had a blue and a T, so I've had 2 different blues and a TJ. I have not had a green, and I have not had a Rev 1, which I'm super interested in trying. But the Uberschall to me was pure controlled chaos, and I was pretty much into it. I have not owned an Ecstasy. And Dallas is saying he's the Skill 30, which I almost bought one of those. Someone either came up locally or something for a good price. But I don't, hey, like if we think about the amps that I own and that are not going anywhere, the first one is going to be the Rev Mark III. That amp is the absolute kitchen sink. There's nothing it really can't do for my style of music. And I play it probably 60 to 70% of the time because of the convenience of having it all in one unit. And so, speak of the devil. What's up, Kyle? Kyle Bull, the man, the myth, the legend. One of these days I'm going to get him on this live stream for sure. But the question is kind of, what about the Grace is unlike anything else, and it's better, Uberschall Mark II coming soon, da-da-da-da-da. Yes, this thing is on. I think this thing is on. So what we're currently talking about, and we're talking about the OG Uberschall, which is the Rev. Brent, are you talking about the Rev 1? Is that the OG, or are you talking about a green? Because that's kind of, if I'm going to get an Uberschall, I'm either getting a green or a Rev 1, because I want to try those. So Dalton is my hookup here. I'm waiting for him to score another Rev 1 or a green at a good price, because Kyle, Mr. Is This On, sold his before I got a chance to snag that green. And yeah, but again, Modern's kind of asking about like what's unique about the Grace, and it's just kind of it's just like, I'm just gonna play it. And again, this whole channel has been renamed More Gear Than Talent. So again, I'm in Drop D on a telly. It's bright. But let's just check out the check out that. Man, now you're talking about trying to like track down a CCV and Dalton's had 5 in the last 2 months. Like, I just need to know where those went, and maybe somebody is gonna need Christmas money soon. I don't know. Like, this is the time of year where I start getting really sick deals. But yeah, and Brenda's saying the first one, the non-revision, so that's the non-green. It's the the Rev 1, so to speak, is I think is the OG. So I think that's what we're talking about. But let's get back into this Grace. I'm gonna play a couple notes, but I'm here for this hang. This is exactly why I'm doing this stuff. So yeah, let's hear. Aw, Anthony, I'm the best. Man, that makes my night. Which so much makes my night. All right. Volume knob. Brent, what you are hearing is the Karsten Grace, which if I had to compare this amp actually to something, I really might compare this amp to the PX50, which Brent turned me on to, and I owned one, sold it, bought it back, sold it again, almost bought it a third time. Both of these amps are super, super loud, and so the gain on the Karsten right now is sitting like at 10 o'clock. So we're going to get into that kind of fuzzy saturated. So this is kind of, it's more clear distortion style of tone. So I'm going to, and it's super loud. We're going to crank this master volume up. And again, I have the headroom set full on. And so this is about to get probably stupid loud in here. But the headroom is basically giving me all the room so the power tubes don't break up. With the headroom really dialed back, you can get to this level of saturation earlier on the gain knob, which if you're after that Omega clear thing, it's a different beast. But I want that headroom wide open because what I want in this amp is all the dynamics. So kill the room mic again, and you're going to hear this amp gain about 1 o'clock. All right, so that's the Grace. Again, it is very clear. You can hear the notes. It is just not modern and like it's not a metal amp. But modern is basically asking me, can I, dude? Now you're gonna make me keep this amp. No, dude. Institute that, dude. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's like, I'm the only person he knows who's like, I love Bush. I love Gavin Rosdale. I love Chris Traynor. Institute was a great record. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think you're right. I think something about having this amp, again, whether I pick up a second gate or do something a little different with how I set up my rig to manage for this amp. But again, you can hear the fuzz, not the fuzz. Like, you can hear the sound coming off of this amp, I think. So, like, you probably hearing it coming off the room mic. It's a noisy light. Alnico or ceramic pickups. 99% that these are ceramic. So these are custom wound by Truman. So this guitar, I need one more light in here, I think, which I'm working on getting. This is a Truman custom Telecaster out of some dude out of Russia. Custom wound pickups. What I need is one more key light on this side. So again, Modern's asking, like, more fuzzy, like a fuzz pedal, than fizzy. It's not fizzy like a rectifier. It's just really not. So let me show you what I like. So what I like about this guitar and this amp is, let me show you what this thing will do when I talk about dynamics. And then I will try to grab a boost pedal or whatnot. Is if I dial this back, and I've got some of the bass rolled off, and I've got this treble and the presence up a little bit. What this guitar and this amp allow me to do is really, I can leave the amp set like this, and I get a ton of, again, volume controlled and pick dynamics, which again is different than the Granifier, which has you can do some of this, but it's not the same roll off. And again, it's really more intended to be a modern style metal amp or whatnot. And then this amp is just a different beast. All right. So I can go from a high gain tone and then roll off the volume and actually end up in a really clean spot. That's what I love. And while I still have all the noise sitting there, I can have super... See, that's clean, clear, and punchy. I mean, again, what this amp does really well is this 90s rock gritty, thick, heavy wall of sound tone. Like, it is just a, like, compared to the Rev Blue or Green channels for like 90s thing, yeah, again, like the Blue channel is pretty tight on like the Rev is a pretty tight rolled off kind of sound. This is super full, super wide. And yeah, it's kind of fuzzy like the Butter Slacks is, and it's kind of fuzzy like a 900 with a big muff. Like, that's kind of what Corgan was after. It's got a little bit of the diesel thing. I mean, it's, again, it's just not modern. So again, if we were to go, I'm going to grab the Granifier. That's the Granifier. And so again, I've got the room mic was on, which means you're going to get a really weird kind of tone out of that. Now let's bounce over to the red channel on this. Dude, no problem. I'm super happy to, like, again, this is the kind of stuff I like talking through. And again, I am not the world's greatest guitar player from a perspective of, I don't shred 1,000 notes a second, yada yada yada. But one of the things I do know is, again, I've played a bunch of this stuff together and done different things. And so I've had a lot of this gear, so that's just kind of the whole thing. Sorry, Sergio's messaging me. They pulled him into some last minute work stuff. He's supposed to come over and hang out for a little bit. So, yeah, like the Granifier is just a different thing. And then to me, the difference between the Granifier and the Obsidian is, again, that speed and quickness of response. And also where that focus is really sitting at with those two amps. That's kind of what I was going to walk back and forth through. But the Rev itself has a bunch of modes, and it can pull off a lot of the stuff. Like, I was trying to set up the green channel to see if I could get it to do what I really liked about the Karsten. Because, again, this is my thing, is I think you should take... when you're buying gear or where you're looking at different things, I think it's super important for you to figure out, is the thing that I'm going to buy do something different than what I already have? Unless you're a gigging guitar player and what you want is, I want 5 guitars that do exactly the same thing every night, or I want something super consistent, then sure, that's a different use case. But if you're going to buy new gear, you're going to buy a new boost, you're going to buy a new guitar, does it do something, or does it inspire something that you don't already have or don't already do? And that's been the classic mistake I have made every time is, My most recent one is I bought a Les Paul Custom and loved it and was like, cool. That's all I'm going to play. I'm going to play Les Paul Custom, and I'm going to get 4 different ones, and they're all different. And they do all sound different and feel different because one is a 68 reissue, one is a 70s, yada, yada, yada. So what's holding me back on, like, there is some of that for sure. I also do think it's an amp that, again, I don't have that sound. And so what I was saying before I got into my rant about buy gear, that's different. I was trying to get that width of a sound out of something else. So one of the things I will probably do is I've got a Big Muff Fuzz pedal, and I'm going to take that into the green channel or the blue channel and see if I can get from a pedal what I can get out of that gray. So it is limited in nature. I may not be able to get it back. I still feel that way a little bit about the Naked that I got rid of and the PX50 that I don't own, that I probably need to go ask. If I end up selling the Grace, I may go back and get that PX50 back. That was a very, very cool amp. So that's one of these things of like, that's sort of what's holding me back from getting rid of it. And it's not a bad sound. The question is it my tone, and it might be. I have not spent as much time with it as I have spent with something like the Obsidian, where if you've been on a video with me, that's like, yeah, like I'll get what I paid for it because I won't let it go for less than that. It's worth what I paid for it to me, and it's why, again, like if I got rid of it, I'd either just sell it for what I paid to a friend. If I sell stuff to friends, I typically don't like to make a profit on it. But if I sell it to a friend, just get what I paid, or I'll put it up. There is one for sale right now on Reverb at the same as the new price, or there was last week. So they will likely release. So they originally said they were only going to make 50, and then they sold out, and now they have said that they were only going to do 50 in the first run or whatever. So I would not be surprised to see more of these, and good on Brian for wanting to make money. If people want it, people should be able to buy stuff. I'm not a big fan of like, let's only make X number of these, so only so many people can buy them. Like if you can afford the price tag for it, like let's the new 20 painted Tremontis from Joe whatever. I think they ought to make 20. And then if somebody wants another one, like make that an option from the private stock or whatever. If you want to pay $10,000 for that guitar, or hell, I've heard they're going to be 20. If you want that as an option, I feel like you should be able to buy it. Like if you've got the cash, you can do it. I think you ought to. What I was saying was the Obsidian, which is now what I've got hooked up. Amp 2, cabinet 2. Yep. I mean, this is when I say people know me for, I'm not saying I'm famous. I'm just saying like this is the tone that I have been rocking for a while. And this was my Omega sound before the Granifier, which again I don't know if I prefer the Granifier or not. It's a really dope sound. But here is this is my Obsidian with the same guitar. Now, that, so as I go back and forth between this thing, and I haven't turned a boost on in the last couple of hours, and again, I'm been really working with a slightly lower gain settings and really working on where that low end sits, but the tone that I'm hearing in the room, and again, I don't know 100% what you're hearing, because if these were in another room and I was sitting here listening to headphones and yada yada yada, I'd have a better understanding of what you're hearing. And I go back and I listen to all my own streams and stuff like that. But that low end focus of the Obsidian, is that kick in the chest, is something that I always like. Now again, this is in drop D on a bolt-on. It's a very snappy sounding guitar, as where something like my PRS in drop C is a very different beast. So yeah, we're a little bit past the 5:30 mark. If people are still hanging out, I see there's still 3 or 4 hanging out. I'm still happy to take some questions. If not, I need to start thinking about what I'm doing for dinner tonight. And hell, I could always come back and stream again later. But I do want to pimp. Modern is asking, when the Grace is boosted, does it lose anything? To me, I feel like anytime you boost an amp, you are losing the breadth of what that amp does, because again, what you're doing is you're really focusing it in. But let's see what we can do on that note. So all right, that's the Grace unboosted. And again, the room mic's clipping stuff, so I'm gonna boost it. You should be able to hear when I boost it. Now, I'm not going to pretend like that doesn't sound absolutely like that slays. So does it lose anything? I think it loses some of the dynamics a little bit. It changes the character of an amp. It changes the voice of it, which is kind of what I feel like every boost pedal does that. Every boost pedal is shaping, it's EQing your guitar, it's boosting the front of the amp and changing the tonality of what it does. So for a long time, I was very anti-boost of like, I didn't want to change the spirit of something. And then over the last couple of weeks, as I've dropped the gain that I'm running on my amps, I would traditionally run my amps around 1 o'clock on the gain. I just was like, oh, well, that's the kind of the sweet spot. Hello, camera, I'm right here. Focus back on me. Cool, maybe it's the light or whatever. It is super vicious. I mean, that, like, again, the amp has a different characteristic, and every time I play it, I kind of feel like I get something different out of it and that's why, again, from a hesitation to sell it perspective is, one, I don't know what I would replace it with. I'm not in a position where I need the cash for something. I'm not it's not like I'm not sitting here with like the opportunity to buy a Rev 1 and like need the cash to flip one for the other. So given that there's only 50 of these out there, and again, think about the producer. There are two producers. One, Phil, who was already here. The other person who has one of these is fucking Will Putney. Like, that dude has some of, like, I'm not a huge fan of, I'm not a death metal dude, so like Fit for an Autopsy from the vocals of that band don't fit me, but that dude has that tone for those guys on the guitar tone is fucking sick. And if Putney's going to put one of these in his studio, then there's got to be something to it. Pushed, it sounds brutal, thrashy, and violent of what you said like earlier regarding Marshall. Like, it's EL34 based, and it's just a different beast of an amp. It's not intended, it wasn't designed to be something very super modern. Like, everything was one channel. It doesn't have any features in it. Like, it's got that headroom knob, which really changes how that amp reacts. But it doesn't have, like, a gate or I asked if this amp could be modded to include an effects loop, and basically his short answer was he didn't want to do it. Like, he probably could, but it would overall change how this amp reacted, and he didn't really want to do it. So, like, the Grace is such a cool... Like, it's cool as it is. And I don't know if I'll sell. I mean, the whole thing is, like... When I say I'm thinking about selling something, I was thinking about selling the Granifier like 3 days ago. I think about parting with the Obsidian on a not infrequent basis because the noise level in the loop or whatever. Like, there are certain things that I get frustrated with the very... can I mention anything Brian told me? All he told me literally was in an email. I asked if the amp could be modded for an effects loop, and he basically just said that the short answer was no, because it would affect the tone too much. Like, is it physically possible in order to do that? I'm sure you could add, like, any amp can have an effects loop added, but he basically said it would change the tone of the amp in a way that he didn't want to do it. And that was the end of that story. And if I want the amps I want to enjoy them the way the amp maker intended, which was one of the reasons why, like, I feel like the Omegas are built around KT66s. Now, I realize they're not stock in the amps right now, and I think that has more to do with the shortage than anything else. But Mauer says, I'll buy both Omegas and cabs from you immediately. I really love mine more than anything else. I think of selling everything at some moment. But the shipping on these cabs would be ridiculous. And again, I have the custom 2x12 open back, which is a beast. It's a very different sounding thing. But I spend a lot of time playing the Rev because it's the kitchen sink. I can literally go from a clean ambient tone to a nice recto sound. I will certainly let you know, man. I have someone, if I sold the Granifier, I would give them first right of refusal on it. The Obsidian is a different story, but if I did decide to sell it, you'll be the first to know for sure. I will keep you in the loop. Always pop in on the streams, man. They're great. And again, I just do these because they're fun to hang out. And if anyone ever wants to come and hang out on these streams, I do have the ability to bring in. You don't have to have a professional setup. I can give you a link. You just need to have a web camera and a microphone. And I would be happy to have anybody come on and talk to me about their gear, things that they do differently than what I do. That's kind of the fun of this. But all right, it's 5:45. I'm getting hungry. I need to order some food, and I need to figure out if Sergio's still coming. You wish they were still being... Oh, wish they still made them. Are you talking about the Obsidians? Or are you talking about the cabinets? What are you talking about, whether they're still be made? Yeah, dude, hit me up on Discord or something. We can always discuss it. Everything at some level is for sale. I don't know what I would do for cabs. I mean, I have literally at some point thought about what if I sold it all and hell went back to a Quad Cortex or an Axe-FX. So I mean, everything's on the table right now, man. But the Omegas really are the closest thing I've ever found to my tone. I just use the Rev more from the flexibility perspective. And I love the guys at Rev too, so they've been super kind to me. But yeah, I will keep all of this in mind, man. Final thoughts, questions, something you wanted to hear before I shut down for the night and go order pizza and stop tormenting my cat with super loud guitars. Going once, going twice, and at 46 minutes and 30 seconds, we're going to kill this Friday night stream. This has been super fun. Yeah, everything from Omega is just super backordered. I think they will be making everything again. I think there might be some changes to things, yada, 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 as supplies come in. But I have two of the... So I have... My Grandifier was one of the first ones that came after they had to change the Transformers, and my Obsidian was one of the first ones that they... It's all original. So yeah, I'll keep it in mind, man. Yeah. Tubes all change, absolutely, but the original, the Obsidian that I've got, the original real deal, and the Grandifier, I feel like the newer ones are very true to the original stuff as well on everything that I've heard. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful Friday. I'm gonna go finish my Diet Root Beer, and then I'm gonna order pizza and check in on my cat. So. Awesome to see everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We will do this again very, very soon. If you have comments or questions, feel free to reach out to me. Instagram, Facebook, all of my stuff is in a link somewhere. I am Anthony Best. You can literally Google it, find my website, and find me. I'm always happy to take your questions, and I'm happy to talk with you one-on-one about anything that I have that you might be interested in. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'll see everybody very, very soon.